All right, Be'ezrat Hashem. Today we're entering the fifth class about Tefillah. And today we have an interesting class. We're going to talk today about our kavana, about our intention, what is tzumet lev, which is paying, putting our heart in the right place, and about tefillin. And it correlates, all comes in together. So we're going to try to understand a bit more about the depths of these two things. And Be'ezrat Hashem, it should be, hopefully we can learn one or two things. It will enlighten us, it will be nice insights. So Bezat Hashem, our learning should be dedicated for the idea of soldiers, all the hostages to be released. I don't know if you've seen or not seen the announcement today with Trump said until Saturday or such and such. And I think that I believe in Jewish person cannot look at these events and stay odd or stay indifferent or look at it and say there's just all consequences. But we've seen that there's actually a movement that's happening in the world that's happening towards the days of Mashiach, which is something that is not only in something that's supposed to come from heavens, but it's also something that's happening in nature. So we should hopefully, in the merit of the learning, we should hear them coming back home soon. We should also give strength to the soldiers Idan ben Chaim, Eyal ben David, Yaakov ben Yosef, and Dina bat Yaakov. May their neshama have an aliyah, and hopefully we should get to learn appropriately and get to have the right kavana as we learn as well. So first of all, we're going to touch in the idea of kavana. So what is kavana? Kavana is intention or meaning. So when you go ahead and you try to understand something and you ask someone, maybe it's not clear to you, so you're going to ask him, what do you mean? I don't really understand. What's the intention? Or I meant to do A, but B happened. And then we try to go ahead and have this type of meaning or try to understand it in a certain way, but not always it happens this case. And we're trying to really see, when it comes to the Hebrew language, the word kavana comes in and comes from the root of kivun. What is kivun? Anyone here can give a guess? Kivun is direction. So when I say kavana, it means I need to put myself in the right direction. So think about it when you were a little kid and you make a mistake. So you come in and you tell your mom, but I didn't make it. I didn't mean it. I didn't mean to do 1, 2, or 3. I didn't mean to break the glass. I didn't mean to go ahead and scratch your car, whatever the case may be. And when you break things and we look at it, you say, I didn't know. I didn't mean it. It's not in my control. Why do they say it? Because their consciousness or their understanding is not in a place that they can look at the whole surroundings and be sensitive enough and be able to grasp everything that's happening around them and pay attention to every single thing. So maybe he puts his attention to his toy or to his game and he goes and chases the toy, but then on the way to the toy, he goes ahead and kicks something and breaks something. It's because he's not attentive enough, he's not cautious enough. So something that we have done, we will see it, and then maybe the mom or dad will say, okay, he didn't do it on purpose. And then two things that will go ahead and it will help us to go and forgive that kid would be one, he's young, he doesn't really understand what he's doing, he doesn't really know. And the second one would be, oh, he did it on mistake. He did it on purpose. He didn't do it on purpose. So therefore, I would not be so strict with him. I would not be I would not hold him so much accountable. But then what happens is we see it also in Shulchan Aruch and in our halacha. There's two types of mistakes that a person can make. One that's mezid, and one is beshogeg. So some of them will be mezid. Intentionally, I'm trying to go ahead and cause damage. The other type would be, by mistake, I didn't do what I should have done. When a person keeps Shabbat and you try to go ahead and maybe you go to the restroom, right? And you try to take the papers from that dispenser. And all of a sudden you do it, and hope by mistake you rip the paper. Did you try to rip the paper? Did you try to do the korah, machar korah? Of course not. But by doing the action of trying to grab the full piece, you do it. Another example, and that's an example we actually taught in Yula back in school this week, is about, let's say now a person went ahead and he ate a meal. He ate a meal, he sat down on the desk, he said Birkat Hamotzi, he ate bread, and then he comes ahead and something happens, distracts him, and he goes to the next activity. Or he goes now from one class to the other. So what does he need to do now? Does he need to go back to the same place that he ate the food and bench there? Or can he go ahead and say it in the first place, in the next place that he is at? So what do you think? What would be the solution?
If he remembers to bench, that's good.
If you remember to rest, that's a good start. That's already a place of progression.
I've heard
right?
that you need to bench where you ate, but I don't know if that's.
So that is correct. So the halacha comes in and tells us lechatchila, to begin with, or the first basic level is if you went ahead and you forgot, go back to the same place and then bench there. Now, what happens if you benched, you ate?
What's the reasoning behind it?
The reason is that we set up a makom suda, a place of eating, and when we look at it in let's look again at the metaphor of a king. We're going to use it a lot because it's the Zohar speaks a lot about it, and it's also, I think it's quite clear to understand. When you now go to a feast with the king, usually is he going to walk and eat and move around as he eats and progresses? He's going to sit down in the place, he's going to open up a feast, you're going to see some lechaims, you're going to see some good food, and he's going to sit there and you're going to have whatever ceremony, whatever discussion, conversation he wants to have. He finishes, and then he goes and moves on to whatever he needs to do next. And when we look at it, when we're, a Jewish person, he is the son of the king, but the ultimate king, the son of the Almighty, right? God, Ribono Shel Olam. So when we understand that, we need, in a sense, to emulate our behavior to the behavior of kings. So that means if I sit down in one place, I'm not eating while I'm standing up. I have my rabbi in New York, Rabbi Shippo, says that when you stand and walk and eat, it's like you eat like an animal. Like a dog would do that, a cat would do it, but not a human being, not a person, definitely not a Jewish person. Why? Because when we eat the food, what are we in essence eating? What are we doing?
Nourishing.
We're nourishing ourselves in order for us to go ahead and be able to serve God and work and have the energy to serve Him appropriately. Aside from that, when we go ahead and we eat the food, what do? We say a bracha. What do we say with the bracha itself? We unleash sparks. So, right. So there's a concept that when the Adam Rishon, the first man, went ahead and caused the sin of Etzadat, of Chet Etzadat. So he ate the fruit from the tree. So when he did that, what happened? He included all the neshamas of all the Jewish nation. And as soon as he did that, there was a shvirat kelim, there was a breaking of vessels. It's different from the breaking of the vessel with the creation of the world. It's a different discussion. But when he did that, all the neshamas went and dispersed. And then now what we're doing when we eat, it comes in everything. It's a person has a neshama, a tree or even a rock has a spark of a neshama. And when we go ahead and we eat, let's say an apple, we say the bracha, we unleash some sort of spiritual energy that comes in and then comes back to the right place it has. There's something that
calls it klipas nogas.
So klipat noga was my next point. So it's basically you're trying to go ahead, and we talk about also in the intention about tefillah, but basically it's like a shell, like an eggshell, so to speak, that comes in and grabs the spark or grabs the spiritual, positive, divine energy, and instead of allowing it to be released back into the original place of it, with the infinite light, and come back to Hashem, then it stays captured. And when it stays captured, it's almost like you have, I don't know, you have a diamond and you put it inside of a rock, right? Instead of a bunch of rocks. So you cannot utilize the diamond because it's stuck in the middle of nowhere now. Good luck now taking it out. So what is our job? Our job is, in a sense, to harvest that diamond from the rock and release it by saying the blessing. So if we do that, if I'm now going to go ahead and have my intention in 10 different places, and I'm walking and eating and looking here and looking there and looking at the billboards of Ventura Boulevard, am I really going to have the intention to release that spiritual energy when I eat and consume it so that I have the power to eat? I would argue that most people don't. And then when we look at it to the next level, you look at the Rambam, and he teaches us how to chew the food, that we need to have 24 chews on each side, and we need to go ahead and think about me now using this food as spiritual energy. And they're like, when you have to do so much with just eating, when you have to break your taiva, the desires of eating. So the Biala Rebbe does something nice. We spoke about petting the fish, but there's also the concept that he does with the fork. So he goes ahead and he'll pick up the food, he'll raise it, and then he'll drop it and drop the fork. And he'll do it a few times. And you look at it in the first glance and you're saying, like, this is really odd. What is he doing? Like, just eat the food. But if you look deeper into it, the chassidut behind it, or the spiritual understanding, is that he's trying to take his desires. When you see the piece of steak in front of you and it's nice and warm, and you see the chard on top of it, and you see the smoke coming out of it, you say to yourself, just give me the steak. And we see it more clearly, I think, with kids. As soon as they see food, immediately they jump in the food. They don't see anything. It doesn't matter. We do a kiddush once into every 2 weeks. As soon as the ice cream or the cookies come out, you see 15, 16-year-old boys who are supposed to be, refined and with a lot of good midot, all of a sudden jump on it like it's the last meal they'll ever eat. And you say to yourself, okay, this is animalistic. You don't like to see that type of behavior. What do you like to see? More like royalty, right? I control what I eat. The food is not controlling me. I control the food. So there's a lot of different wisdoms behind me just sitting at the table. But for the concept, for the idea of the intention, so I now went ahead and let's say I went in the airport and I'm eating my sandwich, and I finished the sandwich and they called me to go to the gate, and now I stand inside of the plane and I understand I cannot go back. So b'diavad, in hindsight, I can go ahead and I can bench where I found. And there's a concept that says mitzvah deoraita lechuma and mitzvah derabanan lakel. Safek deoraita lechuma, safek derabanan lakel. So it means when it comes to mitzvot that are from the Torah, explicitly from the Chamesh Tchum Torah, we go ahead and we try to be a bit more strict. And we try to go ahead and do it anyway. What happens, for example, if it's a mitzvah derabanan? Let's say benching a bracha on pasta or a bracha on a cookie. So then if I'm not sure if I said it or not, what will I do? I will not say it again because I don't want to have a bracha lebetara. But when it comes to mitzvot that are from the Torah, then I'll go back again. Now, it goes the next step. And the next step goes, did I do it intentionally? Did I go ahead and I said, I'm going to eat here, but I'm just going to walk away. And then if I get to remember it later, I'll say a bracha then. That's doing it intentionally. And that's doing it on purpose. And you're going to get a harsher punishment, so to speak, on things that you do with mezid, which is intentional. Then when it comes to shogeg, when I did it on mistake, then it's not so strict, meaning I will understand, I'll be more forgiving. And I think it's quite clear to understand. When someone does something on purpose, you tend to be a bit more strict with him. Why are you doing it? It's not nice. But when he does it on mistakes, if now I'm going to take Bob's glass and I'm going to throw it at the wall, and he's going to see that I did it intentionally, he's going to get upset. But what if I somehow, with moving, all of a sudden I hit the cup by accident and I hit it on the same wall? He's going to say, okay, it's a mistake. You didn't mean it. So that's the judgment that we're looking at here. And then,
But that's different than intentionally saying you're gonna bench or say bracha in another location.
So then comes in, there's a distinguish between the Shulchan Aruch, which is the Sephardi way, and then the Rosh, which is the Ashkenazi way, that comes in, and basically both of them at the end of the day come and tell you if you're already at the second place and you need to bench because it's important enough, it's the Oraita. But if you can, Ashkenazi will go ahead and try to push you back to the place you came and you benched in if you can. And there's more than that. It comes in if it haven't been 72 minutes, which is the time it takes you to digest, you should basically go back and try to do it, even if you need to drive back to that location. That's to begin with. Now comes in this next concept. So understand the intention, right? My intention was here. I did it on purpose. I didn't do it on purpose. Then comes in the idea of simat lev. What is simat lev? The Hebrew translation, simat lev, if you look at it, it's putting our heart somewhere. But simat lev, the slang or the understanding of it, like what we use in the day-to-day common language, is to basically pay attention. So if we look at it, simat lev is putting the heart at a specific location. As we said with the food, if I'm going ahead and I'm just eating and I'm not paying attention to what I do, most likely I'll get more fat than not. Most likely I'm going to eat it like an animal rather than a son of a king. More likely I'm going to make a mistake with some sort of a bracha. But if I go ahead and I take my time and I'm being more cautious, being more calculated and collected, then we're able to go ahead and pay attention to all the details, to all the mitzvot.
Is that for these kiddushes where you stand around and everyone eats? Is it better not to eat anything? Or?
So cocktail kiddushes again. You ask
cocktail kiddush, that's what it's called.
Yeah. So I'll say this: if you ask a Haredi person, if you ask someone who's trying to be medakdek, you would not see them stand on the cocktail table and eating like that. That's just not so appropriate. If you go ahead and you see, a lot of times you go, I saw it in Chabad a lot, right? Chabad of Tarzana, for example, you'll see that a lot of people will stand maybe, but Rabbi Eimer would sit down and say the kiddush sitting down. Yeah. Because he's setting a place of Seuda. It's a place that's where I'm eating. I'm eating like a king right now, like a son of a king. I'm not eating like an animal that eats standing up. And it's a statement. It's a statement we should all be making, I think. If you're stuck in a cocktail party, better to just have a drink, perhaps. Drink is not so difficult. You see even in Sukkot, for example, when it comes to eating mezonot, when it comes to eating something bread that you have to bench, they tell you like eat in the sukkah. When it comes to shakol, you need to drink water. More lenient. You can go ahead and drink water on the road as well. So that's when it comes to that. But now when we talk about the heart, I'm trying to put my heart and I'm trying to put it where I should be putting it. Let's say I'm now davening to Hashem and I'm asking for him to bless the ears. Bless the ears has a lot of intentions that come and talk about my parnasa, but my man. And I go ahead and I am reading, bless the ears and bless my pockets and make sure that I'm rich and wealthy. But you're thinking about your dog and how he beat the cat and next to the guy who gave out the newspapers in the morning. Are you really putting that same intention? Are you really putting yourself in a place that you're receiving the blessings? Why are you just going ahead and reading the words because it's a mantra that someone told you that you should be reading? So that's the idea here. And then when it comes in, there's something that's called hasachat da'at. What is hasachat da'at? Anyone can give a guess? No? It's distractions. So distractions come in and do what? Every single day that you go into prayer, I guarantee you will go into the prayer, you start praying, you say, I'm coming with the intention, I'm now with the kavan, I'm now focused on what I'm reading. You're going to do it for 30 seconds, no more than that. And you're going to start having thoughts, oh, I'm doing it with kavan, that's great. Even that is a distraction. Yeah, but if you say, even simat lev, oh, hasachat da'at, hasachat da'at. So now you basically go in and even the smallest thing of reading with intention, then saying, wow, I'm really doing a good job. You're already out. You're already out of it. And it's a small nuance.
Is that why a lot of people daven like this?
Yeah, sometimes people do this. They daven and they put their fingers in their ears. Or sometimes they'll close their eyes. Or sometimes they'll wrap themselves with the talit even more. Each one has their own trick to do it. But the progression is to be able to ultimately do it. If people throw stuff around you, if there's noise here, noise there, if this guy is speaking, if this guy is speaking, it doesn't matter where. In your own personal intention, you have to be able to go ahead and the idea is you put in screens. So you put in these screens so that nothing bothers you. When I'm able to do
bug
that,
me a little bit when I could see people like doing this. It seemed like theater to me. It didn't seem like
it does because it sounds like
it's like genuine.
it's
It seems
artificial.
like it's hard work, which is the point.
I don't know.
It seems like
Now
also
looking
artificial.
back at it, gotta work at it.
I don't know.
And I would say this: when you get into Shmoneh Esrei, there's especially in the Hasidic Siddur, it comes in and tells you that the way to draw the blessings the most is if you are able to go ahead and cry and be broken when you come into the prayer. You're supposed to break yourself before you even start praying. So think about it. You see all these people who do this. Yeah, exactly.
What's his name?
I forgot, but the rabbi from
Rabbi.
Pittsburgh, from Pittsburgh. Yeah,
Yeah,
he does that.
he's from London.
Slew.
So you see him. He just gets to Haneni, the preliminary prayer that you do before you start all the Seder Avodah in the Yom Kippur, and he's already shaking and crying and tearing and screaming, and you look at it and you say, wow, this is like, what is he doing? Is he doing a show here? What is going on?
Yeah.
But once you start to read and once you start to understand it, this is what we all should be doing. When we go into Shmoneh Esrei and we get into the 3 steps forward, you're supposed to look at you going into Yerushalayim, then you going into the Har Bayit or the Kotel basically, and then the 3rd step is going into the Kodesh Kodashim. It's going into the Holy of the Holiest, right? The Kodesh Kodashim where the Kohanim used to give the korbanot. So when you are putting it in your head, I saw it in Yom Kippur for myself and in Rosh Hashanah. I would physically shake like this, and I'm just putting it in my head. So what I did is I saw it's possible, and once I saw it's possible, then you say, there's something here, and then you start seeing it. I don't know if everyone ever felt it, but I'm sure you did. When you go into certain portions in the Tefillah, there's actually indications in some of the Sidurim that has more of the kavanot. The kavanot, the intentions, is basically you're preparing yourself to receive extra light. Right? Remember we spoke about the extra spiritual light and the happiness. So that extra light, you feel it how? By getting goosebumps. All of a sudden you have this like feeling of goosebumps in the prayer. And if you're able to do that, they say there's two things that it is. One of them is a stroke by an angel. So an angel comes in and basically pets you, gives you that extra attention. The second is you receiving an addition of light. And that addition of light of the sun, you see your halo changes, you see your aura changes, you see yourself becoming more awake, your temperature rises a bit. And these are things that are very, very real. And you didn't even notice that maybe Rabbi Horowitz is getting goosebumps half of the prayer, and then that this person has it now, and because it's not something you can see necessarily on someone else, but you can feel it on your own, and it's really massive, and it's something that has a lot of power. And then once we go ahead, we spoke about all these distractions that we have, right? So when we're going and standing and praying, our best ability is to be able to look at the prayer and actually read the word that we're saying. So I say ve'ahavta, you feel a sense of love in your. When you say Hashem, you imagine in your head the two names of Hashem, Yud Kei Vav Kei and Aleph Daled Nun Yud. These are the two names of Hashem, judgment, mercy, and you combine them both just in your head, in your imagination. By doing that, like in the Shema, you close your eyes, you think about, hear God, Shema Israel, here Israel, which is where it comes to Yaakov, but also comes to all the Israeli nation. Hashem is God who Almighty controls everything. Elokeinu, He's someone that is our God. Hashem, God, is one. And then one comes into the Aleph, which is one and control, and basically is one and only. He's the pre-existing before everything was existed. Chet is the 8, which is above nature. He's above nature, is above everything. And Daled, he controls all 4 corners of the earth, or all 4 elements of the world. So when I put this in my mind, and when I go ahead and I think about that, Echad also accounts for the number 13, which is Yud Gimel Midot HaRachamim, Yud Gimel principles of faith, 13 principles of faith. And you're thinking about all these things that are coming together in one Shema prayer.
Is that why you extend the Echad?
Yes. Because I try to put all these intentions in your head, and then when I open up my eyes, usually I get goosebumps. Mamash, like it's almost like a Baruch Hashem. You're able to tap into it, and it's a special feeling. It's a special feeling. It's you want to feel. How do we feel that God is with us, right? How do we feel that He's a part of our life? So yes, you see it in miracles. You see it in things that happen in your life. So quote unquote coincidences, but also in a feeling. So when you get goosebumps now, when you go to a tish or you go to a Torah class and you hear this inspiring story, so there's something there. It's not just the story itself that moved you, it's the intention, it's the depth, it's the deeper understanding that you understand for yourself. Then we're moving on. What happens when we get to Shul? What happens when we get to the synagogue? So when we get to the synagogue, what is this, the synagogue supposed to be resembling? It's the temple, Bet HaMikdash. So when I go into the temple, there's a blessing that basically you're supposed to bow down as you enter the Bet HaMikdash, just the temple, not the rabbi, not everyone, just this actual location, this place. And when we go in, it says in the Mikra that it's Bet Mikdash Katan. So, or in other words, Mikdash Me'at. It's a little temple, or it's a bit of the Holy Temple of Jerusalem. So when we enter the Kodesh Kodashim, think about all the intentions that the Kohanim used to do. They used to go ahead and go to the mikveh, change to white clothes, go ahead and do some sort of one portion of the serving, then go back to the mikveh again, put clothes of gold, and then do another portion of it, and then go and change again, mikveh and white. You say to yourself, why do you need all these back and forth? Because they had to make sure that their intention is the right place, that they're pure and clean as possible. So then we come in, and we're coming into this Bet HaMikdash. And what are we doing in this Bet HaMikdash? Or what are we doing in the synagogue? We're basically doing something that we cannot do today, which is give sacrifices. So in the past, let's think 100 years ago, you had a cow in your backyard, in your field, in your backyard, that you would call her, I don't know, Bertha. Right? And Bertha would be a good friend of yours. You would like her, you'd walk around with her, you would feed her, you would take her milk, etc. And then when she gets older, or whatever the case may be, when it comes time to put the sacrifices in one of the 3 regalim, right? So you would go ahead and you would take Bertha to Yerushalayim, to the Bet HaMikdash, and you would sacrifice Bertha. Now today, can we sacrifice Bertha or Martha or whatever it is? No, we can't. So what do? The best example that I like to give is, think about it now, you have a dog. A dog is someone that we really love. And then all of a sudden, you need to sacrifice your dog. once, 3 times a year. You have to go ahead and take your dog and say bye-bye to the sheikh. It's a difficult
Not gonna
feeling.
happen.
It's a difficult feeling. It's not gonna happen. Now think about it. That was the extent that people had to go ahead and sacrifice. Go back a few hundred years ago. So today we don't have it. But what do we have? We have the prayer. And the prayer is basically our sacrifice. So we don't sacrifice today animals anymore, no, not to the same extent, not until we have the Bet HaMikdash, but we sacrifice our time and we sacrifice our mula, right? Our money. So we
Now, when
basically.
you say you bow, you physically, you walk in the door and you stop and you.
So
bow?
I do it after I put the talit. So I'll put the talit as a prayer also. You do it when you cover yourself. And then once you finish that, then I put up, then I do the prayer, I bend down, and then I go ahead and I do it. But I can show you.
You wash before you walk in.
I wash before I walk in. Yes.
You wash
Here.
before you-
You see this one? It's on page 12. It comes in and tells you, Ma tovu oalecha Yaakov, how good are your tents, Jacob, Mishkanotecha Israel, your dwelling Israel, V'ani berov chasdecha, and me with all your kindness, Avo beitecha will come to your home, Eshtachave lechal chodshecha. I will bend down to your holy of the holiest.
And that's the spot you'll bend.
And that's the spot of it. Basically, what I'm doing is I'm trying to match what I'm saying to what I'm doing. There's a phrase that we say, talk is cheap, right? You wanna put your actions where your mouth is. So it's the same exact thing. If I'm now going ahead, I'm saying, yes, I would like to give tzedakah. Give tzedakah. Open up your pocket, open up your wallet, and give the tzedakah. I want to go ahead and connect more to Hashem. Go ahead and connect to Hashem. I want to pray and I want to understand what I'm reading. So read it in the English, but understand what you're reading. It's going to take you another minute, another 10 minutes, another 30 minutes. Once, twice, 3 times, 4 times. Eventually, it will start to become your habit. But what happens a lot of times? So then, when we go ahead and we go into the temple, all of the sudden, when you have a meeting with the king, are you going to pay attention to every step and every word that you take out of your mouth? So we come into the Bet HaMikdash, and then we enter here, and we understand the king is listening to us. The king is around us. The king is walking between the rows that we have now. And something called Shechina, right? The divine presence is lingering in the shul. And now what happens when I say, oh, can you pass me this coffee cup? Or did you see what happened with the NBA yesterday? The second you do that, the Shechina goes away. The second you do that, the Shechina goes away, not just from the individual person, from the whole shul. So in essence, when I spoke, I destroyed it not just for myself, for the whole shul. And that's Zohar explicitly. Let's see what he says here. He says that in the Masechet Barachot, Mishnah in Perek Gimel says to us, "Amitpalel tzarich sheyachin et libo," and the Tehillim says, "Tachin libam takshiv oznecha." You should prepare your heart, like we said before. Place your heart in the right position, and then you would prepare your ears. So why do you prepare? You put your heart first of all to put the intention. I'm now locking in. I'm now going into a court case. Then I need to be super focused. Or I'm now going into a real estate deal. Then I need to close today. There's no chance that I'm not closing. I'm going to a basketball game. I need to make sure that the final shot I'm making and I'm following through. Whatever example it is, that is the mindset that you have. And each one in their own profession knows how to turn on and off that start button, so to speak. So when we come into Shul, that's probably the most important opportunity for us to go ahead and create a connection with God. And for us, when we understand that, then we need to be super present there. Because if I want to draw down light, and I'm now going to go ahead and have a vessel that I'm preparing, which is my intention, which is my heart, which is the hard work that I'm putting. I'm doing my ishtadlut. I'm trying my best in the world on a daily basis to be successful. And then you go ahead and you, in essence, you get into Shul and you talk, you're throwing away the opportunity to be blessed, to properly be blessed. And it's chaval. And then he comes in and the Khatam Sofer comes and explains to us. If a person speaks in the Bet HaMikdash, in the Bet HaKnesset, Gorem lesiluk Shechina, he goes ahead and he removes the Shechina from that location, from that shul, and wherever that same location that was supposed to have Shechina, divine presence, something else goes ahead and takes control there. What takes control there? He says here, Malachecha balach chas v'chalila chas v'shalom. Evil angels comes in and they basically capture the tefillah. So let's say you're now daven for the thing that's most important to you. I prayed now for health for my family. And the shul has a lot of conversations around you. Think about that evil angel comes in and snatches that and hides it in the Klipat Noga that we spoke about earlier. Now, good luck releasing that prayer from that evil place, or from that dark spiritual place. So in essence, you're not just not receiving the merits, but you also are going ahead and now putting it in the dungeons, and now good luck carrying it from them. So it's super interesting to understand it. It comes into the Zohar also comes in and tells that הקדוש ברוך הוא ברוב החכמיו השאיר לנו מקדש מעט. God with all of his mercy, after we made all the mistakes, sinat chinam, all these things that we've done in the past, he still left us a bit of the temple in the shuls that we live in.
What if somebody's davening with the kavanah and they're holding their ears closed and they've got their talis over, they're not hearing anyone else speaking? They still lose it?
It's a good start, but the problem is that we're a collective. And if we understand that we're a collective, even if you did your job right, but one or two guys did their job incorrectly, then it's an issue. There is a concept that says that if you have a rov, right, the majority is praying properly and doing the davening appropriately, that you still get the Shekhinah to stay. But again, that's more details, and the Zohar is a bit more strict with that. He says that one person, then we're out of it. So that's no. So and the funny thing is we think it's only on Shmoneh. We think it's only on Tefillah. It comes in and is every single second that I stand inside of the shul. I want to talk about soccer. I want to talk about sports and business. Exactly there. Go ahead, do your conversation. It's fine. But once you enter in, it's almost like basketball is a classic example. When you're on the sideline, when you're on the bench, talk about, oh, you saw this guy, oh, you saw the fan, oh, you seen the coach, he dresses up this way, that way. You get into the court, nothing, game. So that's in essence the same mentality. And it's very difficult. But what people do sometimes, they'll stop. They'll stop the prayer completely. You take a deep breath. Or you'll walk out to a second, you realize you're talking, stop yourself for a second, walk out, physically walk out, even if you say to yourself, no, I'm done talking. Because once we get into a certain loop of something, it's very hard to get out of it. Even if I spoke,
He does that.
he gets out, he physically walks out.
He stops the davening.
Right.
If there's talking.
If they're talking, if they're
he
speaking.
totally stops it and waits until it's silent.
But that's in a rabbi level. I'm saying on our own, for our personal level, if I can go ahead and I identify it for myself, oh, I'm speaking right now, stop yourself and be able to walk outside, refresh yourself, and come back in. Because sometimes when you're identifying it, but you're in the middle of it, it's very hard to stop. You have to change your whole scenery for a second. You have to change the place you're at.
I like that idea that when you come back in, you say to yourself, game on.
Exactly, in a way, and that's really the mentality we should have, and then once we go ahead, that's the way for us to go ahead and receive the blessings this way. The Maggid Mekoznitz went ahead and speaks about a story that the person goes ahead and talks to the king, and in the middle of the conversation with the king, he turns his face, and he says, "No, now I don't want to talk to you." How is the king going to accept that?
Off with his head.
Not in a good way, right? He's going to say, that's what you do to me? Good luck. I'll see you I'll see you if I ever see you. Now, Hashem is merciful. Hashem goes ahead and gives us more and more opportunities. Every single day we have a chance to do tshuva, 100%. But we messed up on that opportunity. Now I give you a chance to meet Trump, right? And you have a crucial time in the history of the land of Israel and the Jewish nation. And I'm telling you, okay, in 5 minutes he's going to walk in. Are you going to blow up that opportunity? I would be crazy if I lose out on that opportunity to say what I want to say. But if you have that mentality, even like lehavdil, that you're now meeting the president, you're now meeting someone really, really important in the shul, you're going to behave in a certain way. And that's something that it's a daily reminder. It's really a daily reminder, and hopefully it's something that if it's not shocking us enough, you see it in Zohar, comes in Truma and says like this. מי שמדבר בבית הכנסת דברים של חור, whoever is speaking in the shul, regular, mundane, ordinary things, אין לו חלק בהשם ישראל. He doesn't have a part in the nation of Israel. He doesn't have a part in the nation of Israel. כי הוא מראה שאין לו אלוקים, he shows that he doesn't have a God, and שהקדוש ברוך הוא לא נמצא בבית הכנסת, and that God is not dwelling in the synagogue. ושאין לו חלק בו, ואינו ירא ממנו, that he doesn't have a part in him, and he's not in awe of him. And הוא עושה קלון בשכינה הקדושה, and he goes ahead and he disgraces the holy divine presence. To that extent, so he comes in and tells us, Guys, if you're speaking in the shul, it's like you're saying to yourself, really what I'm praying doesn't matter. Because I can speak this, I can speak that, it has no weight.
Again, how about after Aleinu? How about when we're done davening? Is it inappropriate talking to each other in the shul?
The best way is to walk outside and start your conversation. That's the best way. That's lechatchila. Now, again, if you now speak about tzarchei tzibur, things that are communal affairs, things that are for the synagogue, for the temple, etc., things that are of spirituality, he has a bar mitzvah, he has an event, he has a wedding, etc., that's could be included in that. You want to go Zohar, you want to go like Shulchan Aruch, but first lechatchila, better not to. And then there's a few halachot that we want to cover for the tefillah, and then we're going to move to the tefillin. So he says that first of all, asur ledaber b'betei knesset, b'betei midrashot, sicha betela. Again, you should not speak a mundane conversation in a shul or in a synagogue. Period.
This is
That's Shulchan Aruch Kuf Nun Aleph.
it contradicts this. Someone sent me. It says mutar ledaber b'beit knesset rak im Hashem yitbarach.
Yeah, exactly. There's also another sign that I saw in a few places. If you came here to speak and chat, where do you go to daven?
Right.
Think about it. Like, where do you go to daven at the end of the day?
Rubbish.
So you have that is yes, great. Exactly. And the second one is אם אדם צריך לקרוא למישהו בבית הכנסת. If someone needs to go ahead and call someone else in the בית הכנסת, Shulchan Aruch says to us that if someone walked in, I walk in and I'm saying, hey Bob, I need you for a second outside, can you come with me? Are you supposed to just walk in and walk out?
No.
You're supposed to stay there, learn something, even if it's a few psukim, even if it's a bid, and then walk out. Why? Kavod Beit Knesset. You're going into the temple. Are you just going to go there, give a high five to Hashem and get out? You're most likely going to stay there for a second. You're going to ask for something, you're going to pray for something, you're going to give a korban, and then you're going to walk out. Even if you just need to call someone. So that's the second one. The third one, Zohar comes in and tells us, Tana al Gimel milim mitakvim Yisrael b'galut. There's three things that Bnei Yisrael are being delayed in galus, in exile, that are one, osim kalon b'shchina b'galut, that they disgrace synagogue, that machzirim pneim ha'shchina, that they will go ahead and they turn away from the presence. So like we said about the story with the king, ושמטמאים את עצמם לפני השכינה, and that they go ahead and they dirty themselves, or they add tuma to their life, so they're making things that are inappropriate, appropriate acts, or you eat things that are not kosher, for example, and on and on and on, that you add tuma to your life. These are things that are delaying the geula. Straight up. So it's good to know. So, and then when you do this phase, it comes in and all these things are so crucial and so important for us to understand. And the Bial Rebbe came into to us and told us one day that if you go ahead and you speak within the prayer, we thought it's only Kaddish, we thought it's only in like the Shmoneh Esrei, but when you read more, you understand it's in the whole prayer. Then it's essence like you're taking a knife and you're cutting your pockets open. You're cutting your pockets open. So in essence, I'm going ahead, I'm doing all the intentions, I'm making this beautiful chocolate cake, I prepared all the sprinkles above, and I throw it in the trash. If that's the case, if that's what we want to do, please, by all means. But I doubt it. I think all of us are going here with the intention to actually create a connection with God, first of all, but also to be able to ask the things that we're asking for on a daily basis. That's when it comes to the prayer. So I think it's important to know. Then we're moving into the next thing, which is the tefillin. So what is the tefillin? The basic of the basic of the basic. What is that? Antenna, yes, it's an antenna. It's the tuning us to the right frequency, 100%. What else?
It's a mitzvah deraisa.
It's a mitzvah deraisa, right? It says, "Vayulu totfot be'enecha v'shamtam leot al yedecha vayulu totfot be'enecha." Right? You put them, you tie them on your hands, and you're going to put it in between your eyes as a reminder. So, what are these things? It says they're an ot. What is an ot? Is a symbol of the Jewish nation. We have three symbols that are main and principal. One of them is the tefillin, the second one of them is the tzitzit, and the third one is the mezuzah.
It was Durabbanan that taught us how to put it.
That may be true, but the actual tzav, commandment
There's a
in the
Sadducee, I
Torah.
think they put it literally.
Right, so there's Shulchan Aruch speaks about it. We're supposed to put it in the area, hamakom harofes shel tinok. So when a baby, usually when they grow up, they have like this weak spot that is not growing yet fully, that's not closed yet. That's where we're supposed to place it. We're supposed to place it at the end of the hairline, so that the front will be at the end of the hairline. So that's it. Why is that? Because think about it. If you're now plugging in the hose, you want to go ahead and water your tree. We say this example again and again and again because it really emulates the example. I'm plugging it in and I'm plugging it halfway through the faucet and halfway out. Am I going to get the full blessing flowing into the full amount of water going into the tree and pouring in water in it? No. But if I tune it in correctly and I close it properly, then all the blessings are going to flow properly. And this is a big one because if we just put it on the side, and you see a lot of times people put that fill-in, somehow it goes to the side, and they don't even pay attention. So again, the same thing. Your kivun, your direction is off. So if I want to go straight, but I have a flat tire and I keep dragging to the right, and I'm not paying attention, what's going to happen? I'm going to hit the curve. I'm going to go and flip over, whatever it is. So I always have to steer myself back to the middle. I always have to make sure this is all in line. This is in the back here. There's the bone that you're supposed to put the back part of it. At Samaluz, by the way, I researched a bit. It's not the one here. It's the one that's lower. Exactly where it is, it's a machloket. Like there's a debate between where it is. But it's not this one. It's not the one for the.
Not the loose one.
No. They say it's lower. It's like the bigger bone, they say. So yes.
The three otiot that you mentioned,
Yes.
Tefilin, Tzitzit, and
Mezuzah.
there's a fourth one that's
Shabbat.
the body, the breath.
That's a oath connection between God and us, but it's like that's something that we put on our own flesh. He's talking about external tools.
Like garments almost.
Garments. Like
Yeah.
tashmishe, he calls it tashmishe kedusha. So basically, these are tools. These are pieces like a phone, like a hammer, like a whatever it is, like a saw that we can use in order to go ahead and
And you
create.
can also take them off.
And you can take
The
them.
bridge you can take off.
Yes. So you use it as you use it in the times that you're supposed to use it, and then you take them off and you're moving on with
You
it.
can take it off.
There
Tefillin,
you go.
tefillin, mezuzah, and tzitzit. Now,
Greeks use it so many.
question: tzitzit, are we able to put 24 hours a day?
Can you?
I think you're supposed to sleep. with
You
it.
can. You're supposed to. If you can, you should. Now, second, mezuzah. Are you taking it on and off?
No.
Not really. You put it always. The third one, tefillin. Ideally, in the times of the sages, in times of Rishonim, did they take off their tefillin? They would leave it during the day for the whole day. What happens? What's the issue? Because we're not pure in our speech, because we're not pure in our thoughts, because we keep our intentions drifting from one thing to the other, so we take it off fairly quickly. Even the time that we use it, this day in this generation, I can guarantee that from beginning to the end, you have different thoughts that are coming in that are not connected to the brain. So even that is could be problematic. Again, we don't go in to say people don't put fill in, but that it's not so easy. And our ideal is to try to progress.
That's why people have problems with Chabad putting tefillin on people sporadically in the street.
Because their intention is in the wrong place.
Yeah.
So again, that might be true on a Kabbalistic level and a deeper level. True. But there's also a mitzvah, and we'll touch about it in a second, about simply putting it on. Just by putting it on your body, there's already value there. And we see it, there's the idea that comes in and says like this. You tie it against the hand that goes ahead and tries to go ahead and draw the wisdom and draw the light from our brain to our heart. Right? We go ahead and we are supposed to put our intention, we're supposed to put our emotions in check. That's the heart. We're supposed to control our desires and all the emotions that are stirring inside of us, and we're supposed to keep them in check. Then we are going ahead and we put it in the brain. What is the brain? The brain is like our radio transformer, right? It goes ahead and it receives the light. That's the moach. And when I go ahead and I receive the light, I receive it from the head, and then it goes and go into the brain, the neshama, it stays in the brain, and then it goes ahead and it flows to the rest of the body. And the idea is we're doing something called ma'alim b'kedusha. We're going up in spirituality. That's why, what do we start? We first put the talit, and then we put tefillin shel yad, and then we put tefillin shel rosh. Because tefillin shel rosh is the highest spiritual level. And then from there, we're supposed to draw this down and then this down and then draw to all the rest of our clothing. That's why we do it. So interesting to see it in this perspective.
What's more important, the intention or the parchment being 100% kosher?
It's a lot of people say, including the Yanuka, which is one of the biggest tzaddikim that lives now in this generation, he says that the kavana is the first. But again, the problem is
There's
that
a lot of people, I'm sure, that put tefillin on that the parchment is.
it's not 100%. So that's why,
100%.
again, to do it the right way, if we really want to be clean and want to serve God properly, and we want to make sure that it goes directly, shoots it like an arrow up to the heavens, we're supposed to make sure that our clothing is fit, is organized, that the tzitziot is tied properly, that we don't have one open, one closed, that this is not messed up. Because if you do that, then you miss out on virtues. If you go ahead and your shirt is ripped, or if you have, maybe you wear clothes that are inappropriate, or maybe you have, I don't know, maybe an earring here or an earring there, like people are maybe secular that do. So it prevents you from receiving the amount of light that you could receive. That's what it comes to like the basic level. And we're supposed to clean ourselves. That's why when we go to the mikveh, what do we say? No chatzitza. We should not have no necklaces, no rubber bands, no nothing, no rings, no nothing. I go to the mikveh, I purify myself. So if that's the way to purify myself in the ultimate level, then even more so when I come in to wear my clothes and everything, I should try to do the same. And if you think about it, and this is something that I found out only recently, even a wedding ring. Is a wedding ring something that has been written down in the Torah for men ever? Somewhere? No. It's something that's like a secular custom that developed with the years. Why? Because we're trying to create equality between the men and the women. The only mitzvah you have is to lekadesh, you sanctify a woman with the pruta. You can give her like a gold coin. That's enough. You don't have to even give like a ring itself. The ring is appropriate. It has the full circle and the trust in it, and it has like more kabbalistic reasons to it, 100%. But the basic of the basic, pruta. You give us something that has a monetary value, and you say, "This is how I bless you, and this is what I add value to you." Hopefully, we should all, good luck marrying a woman and giving her a coin and saying, "This is a."
Yeah, good luck with that. Melt it down, honey.
Yeah, but then comes in something interesting. The duties of the heart, which we read, the third chapter is serving God, and he goes ahead and tells us that 99% of our body is physical. If you think about it, every single thing in our body is physical. Granted, everything is from atoms and from molecules, and eventually it becomes spiritual again. But if we look at it, 1% is something that's spiritual, and that's our brain. And that's what's the brain is what? Is the house or the home for a neshama.
It's the moach, it's opposite the brain.
Moach is the brain.
The brain is the physical material, or the moach.
You're confusing it with mochin. Mochin is like Kabbalah, Tanya. This is a whole different discussion. It's a whole class by itself, I feel like. But the neshama is there. So basically, that neshama goes ahead and overcomes the rest of the 99%.
Is thought coming from the brain or the neshama?
Thought?
And Steve.
Thought. I'm having thoughts that I want to do good, I want to do bad, I want to grow, I want to sink, I want to steal, I want to make money, provide, make someone happy.
Ultimately, I would say it comes from a neshama.
I would think that, and that almost defines you, your thoughts.
Because
that's the essence we are, not
the
your
thought.
muscles and your speed.
And that's what's different between you and an animal. An animal can now go and say, I really need to change the panels on my door, or I really need to now go and do another mitzvah or do chesed. Not really.
Not too often.
Not too often. So it comes from the neshama at the essence, and it emulates itself, or it basically manifests itself in the brain. But the brain comes in and it's supposed to, the correct way, and I wrote it down here. There's a concept that's called, it's a Chabad speaks about it a lot. It says, Moach shalit al alev, shalit al kaved. The brain controls the heart, so the brain or neshama controls the heart, which is the emotions, and the emotions controls the kaved, the liver, which stands for our desires. So if we do that, if we're able to go ahead and have our neshama in our thoughts and our knowledge, control, or rationale, so to speak, let's call it in a different language, goes and controls the heart and the emotions. Instead of us going on a tantrum every time we don't like something, we control ourselves. Then we come in and we see food. We see what happens. Something aside from just my emotion is rising, right? My urges, my desires is waking up. So then if I can control that, then I become something which is a melech. I become a king over my own body. What happens if it goes the opposite way? My desires control my emotion, control my brain. Then if I flip the letters, it becomes kalam. Kalam has two meanings. Kalam is the root of klum, which is the root of nothing. And klima is the root of ceasing ceasing from existence. So we understand how much power there is to it. Now the moach is correlated to the neshama, right? We said that's the dwelling place of the neshama. Lev is the dwelling place of the ruach, our spirit. That's why spirited people are very emotional. They think they're very impulsive in their thinking. And then the kaved speaks about the nefesh behemit, which is the animalistic soul that we have. And we're supposed to really understand that and control it. That's when you come to, when we put that feeling on, we're going in Kedusha and we're saying, brain, please control the heart, and heart, please control the rest of the desires. When I put my feeling
But
on.
there, I see a lot of religious people that seem to be out of control.
That seem to be out of control.
They're heavy
100%.
smokers, they're fat, they're.
And that's where sometimes we miss out on many of the main points. Because being an Orthodox person doesn't mean I just would dress up in a certain way and I read the prayer. Reading the prayer means I understand what I'm saying. Reading the prayer, I understand what is the essence here. The essence here is to refine my character, is to refine my traits, is to be able to control my eating, to be able to control my desires, to be able to control my laziness, to be able to control my sadness. All these things are part of what we're supposed to do using this as the main toolkit, as the main manual. How do I do these things? Okay, so you can read and it shows you. But that's really the essence. And when we go in,
Sadness is hard to control,
sadness is hard to
because
control.
that's biological a lot of times.
But how do we
What
flip
you
it?
do with medication.
Medication, but also the deeper work that we can do is by changing our nutrition, is by changing our intention, is by changing our thought to go ahead and machshava, you can flip it over to be besimcha, to be in happiness. And when we do that, we basically are shifting a thought. Let's say you have a negative thought. You can go ahead and you can flip it and say, I don't want you right now. You're irrelevant for me. And you slowly start to train your brain to push off distractions. And slowly you get this toughness of your mental capabilities. And this is called mental toughness, or this is called control of the mind over the matter. These are things that are very, very real in like the Hindu and this and that and all these wisdoms in the world, but you see it in the Torah. Our tefillin every single day. We're supposed to put our intention in the right place, and we're supposed to push all the distractions off.
Like shooting an arrow, if you're off by just quarter of an inch, it's gonna end up.
It's going to go completely to the side, 100%, and it's exactly that. And we're going to go ahead and I'll move a bit because I see that time doesn't give us too much more. So then we have a few components then that we have 4 parshiot, right? We have the Kadesh, Vayaki Avicha, Shema, Vayoki Shema. These are portions that are appearing in the book of Dvarim. And then what it speaks about, it comes to speak to us about, you see it in the secret. The secret goes ahead and shows you that each one of them in Masechet Brachot Yerushalmi. Once we get to the Shema, as we get to the actual prayer itself, we'll dig deeper into it, but it goes and it correlates to each one of the 10 commandments. And it also correlates to each one of the 10 plagues. So it goes ahead and it speaks to you about the positive, and it speaks to you about the negative, it speaks to you about what you should do, what you should not do. And it basically, again, comes in and tries to put your intention in the right place. That's really what it is. And Zamir Cohen, which is a rabbi that I started my journey with, he goes ahead and he speaks and he shows studies that a person who goes ahead and puts his tefillin on, before he puts them, he has a certain level of halo around himself. Halo, like a spiritual energy, like a spiritual light. When he finishes putting the tefillin, the halo grows. Scientifically proven. You can see it, it's like documented in, you can Google it after. It's fascinating. And when you look at it, and when we connect it back to the beginning, when we said what? When we said that now when I put that tefillin, when I put my intention in the right place, I get these goosebumps in my body. It's added light. So when I see the added light in a picture, in a special camera that takes the radiation or takes the light exposure that the person has, you say to yourself, like, this is insane. this is astonishing. And when I see that, and when I see the meaning behind this, putting the tefillin on, and behind my intention of how I'm directing myself into the right place, and how I'm keeping myself focused for the time being that I'm in the Bet HaMikdash, then you see how much work there is to be done before I even touch the book and open. And that's why I think we put all these introductions about tefillin, tzitzit, waking up in the morning, washing the hands, the tumah, the understanding, because from there we can start maybe opening the book and praying. And hopefully, Bezat Hashem, this will be a good entrance to now going and starting to daven. And Bezat Hashem.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah, excellent.
It's interesting. Huh?
I appreciate all the effort that you put into preparing for